Hey guys, welcome to Forte and Goal, and as per usual, I'm coming at you at the last minute with the most up-to-date information about this weekend's Wildcard Weekend. Unlike the past, almost every team is playing except for the two conference teams with the best records. So we've got Green Bay getting a bye, and we've got surprisingly the Tennessee Titans getting a bye. So let's dive into it. I don't want to take up too much time with the videos, and seeing as there's only limited games, I have a chance of actually succeeding this time around, right? Anyway, so the first game comes up shortly. It's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders playing at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are pretty hot. I mean, they beat Kansas City in a heck of a shootout. It was great. It was great. One of the best football games of the whole season. Joe Burrow had another phenomenal game. I mean, he is a very hot quarterback. He's coming up. He's coming up big, and he's got the receiving talent. He's got a really talented running back. The only missing link in their offense really is that their offensive line is probably a little below average. They're going to be going against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are a team that, wow, you know, they had to struggle to get into the playoffs. They had to fight till the last minute against the Chargers last week. Meanwhile, the Bengals were able to rest, and apparently they feel like they've already had a bye because they had a lot of their starters resting. And the Raiders are coming into this, like I said, having fought tooth and nail over the last few games. In fact, they've won 4 games in a row, but for a total of about 12 points, I think the number is. So you can see where this is going. Now, in the meantime, they've got a lot of people playing for their job, and it just can't be easy to be, you know, a Raider right now with all the changes that they've gone through. That said, there's football to be played, and the long and short of it is, I really believe the Bengals are going to win. Looking at some of the stats, I mean, most people agree the Bengals. Okay, there's no significant injuries really on either team. As far as stats go, there's as far as stats go, there's no, I'm looking at this, my mistake. The Bengals are pretty good, 7th in scoring. Raiders are kind of middle of the pack. The Bengals have quite the offense. They're 7th, they're 10th. Their rushing isn't the strongest. They get about 102 yards per game. But the Raiders are basically worse in all of these numbers except for the passing yards. Their defense, the Bengals, they've also played well. They're a middle-of-the-pack defense as far as points per game, total yards per game. Passing yards, they give up a bunch. They're 26th. Meanwhile, the Raiders are 13th. The Raiders' defense, total yards per game, is slightly better than the Bengals. Rushing yards per game, the Bengals are really good run defense. Raiders are middle of the pack. The Bengals do get some sacks. They're 11th in sacks. The Raiders are 20th. Like I said, the Bengals are 11th. And as far as interceptions go, neither team is doing much. The Bengals are 15th. The Raiders are dead last at only 6 interceptions for the season. So you get a sense right there of how it looks. As I said, the Raiders will probably lose this game. The chips are stacked against them. It would take a miracle. I'm going to go in this game, Bengals. I think it's going to be a medium, scoring game. So I'm going to say basically, early, low 30s, 20s. So I would say that the Bengals win this game 31-23. 31-23, Bengals win this game. Okay, next up we've got a more interesting game. We've got 2 divisional opponents facing each other in the Wildcard Weekend. It is the New England Patriots in an unfamiliar place traveling to the Buffalo Bills. and it'll be cold. I've already seen the weather report. It's going to be cold up there, but both of these teams are from the Northeast, so that shouldn't be an issue. As far as injuries go, let's put the glasses on. We're getting into the stats and into the reading. So the Patriots have a bunch of injuries. I say a bunch. They have a few key injuries. Christian Barmore, Damian Harris, Lawrence Guy. They've all got some injuries. The main injury that and it's a big one for the Buffalo Bills is that Tre'Davious White he's on IR. Yeah, so he's out. An ACL injury. So that's the big one for the Bills. But luckily, the Bills are playing a Patriots team that doesn't really have any explosive wide receivers, so that really shouldn't hurt them too much. As far as stats go, the Bills are terrific in passing. Surprisingly, as far as points per game, believe it or not, the Patriots are scoring the sixth most points per game. Total yards per game, well, the Bills are better. The Patriots are middle of the pack. Passing yards per game, Patriots are middle of the pack, and the Bills are 10th. Rushing, the Bills are 6th. Meanwhile, the Patriots are 8th. Kind of surprised there. Well, that's Josh Allen. Time of possession, the Bills do a good job holding on to the ball. They're 5th. Points per game, the Bills are actually 1st, and the Patriots are 2nd as far as what they're allowing. This is defense now. Total yards per game, the Bills are 1st, Patriots are 4th. Passing yards per game, the Bills are doing terrific. They're 1st, and the Patriots are 2nd. So both of these teams play some good defense. Rushing yards per game, they're about average. And sacks, the Bills are 11th. The Patriots are 18th. Interceptions, both teams are doing a good job. The Bills are 3rd, and the Patriots are actually 2nd. And guess who's number 1? Yes, that's right. Dallas Cowboys, guys. So, stats-wise, you're seeing two teams with some impressive stats overall. Again, this game is in Buffalo. Buffalo comes into this game with really just more offensively than the Patriots have. Yes, the Patriots beat the Bills in the regular season, strictly running the ball. I think they only threw the ball, it was 3 times. And they won. 3 times, 7 times, I forget, but it was very, very little. And that just won't happen again. I cannot see that happening again. I think that the Bills would they'd go to their grave, with losing by a team that runs the ball down their throat. That just can't happen. The Bills will win this game. I'm confident of that. Do not expect it to be a high-scoring game given the conditions, and even though both teams are, able to put points on the board, they're not in my opinion, they're not high-powered offenses. Although the Bills have that ability. I'm going to say the Bills win this game, and they do it, by more than 1 score. I'll say they win this game 28 to 17. 28-17, the Bills win this game. So, next game we have is on Sunday, and this is a nice matchup. I really, I'm not a big Eagles fan, okay? I think I've made it clear. Look, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm not going to hide that. People can say, that I might be biased and all that stuff. I don't care. Look, I think I'm able to be objective. I think I'm able to be realistic. The Eagles are playing the Buccaneers, but I will be rooting for the Eagles, although I don't like them. Why do I want that to happen? Well, be honest, there's a lot of hate on the other side from my point of view. But I do think that the Eagles have a really good shot. Let's look at some key things. As far as injuries go, the Buccaneers, they have some key guys out. I think everybody kind of knows that. But I just found out, look, Ronald Jones is going to be out because of his ankle. Sean Murphy-Bunting is questionable. Cyril Grayson, the wide receiver who's had some good moments lately. He's going to be out. And of course, we know that that Godwin is out. Okay, so they're missing some weapons, and Antonio Brown is no longer on the team. So this leaves them with Mike Evans and Gronkowski, and sometimes the other tight ends. And in my opinion, I think Fournette is questionable or out as well. So, we're looking at a team that doesn't have their full complement of weapons. Yes, they have a nice offensive line. They have Tom Brady. They have some other guys that can catch the ball. But we've seen it. Brady really needs to be on the same page with his receivers because these guys are typically running option routes, and he's gotten used to them, as far as what they're going to read, he reads, and then they connect. But when they're on different pages, it's a problem. And we saw that in the game against the Saints where the injuries occurred, right? And their passing attack just isn't as effective. Now, the pass defense, well, we're going to get into those stats, but not to say that the Eagles are world beaters defensively or anything, but what they do is run the ball. And if there's one place that Tampa Bay has proven to be a little they're strong at, is stopping the run. However, the elite running games, and we got to put the Eagles up there because you have a running quarterback. You have a running quarterback, that's two people in the backfield to account for, which makes it more difficult, okay? It's not like, you've got one running back there and you've got a brick of a guy back there that's not going to run the ball like a Tom Brady. There's no threat with Tom Brady, but there is a threat with a guy like Lamar Jackson, with a guy like Jalen Hurts and, Kyler Murray. That's two running backs in the backfield, essentially, two runners, okay? Now, the Eagles do a great job. Give them credit. So this is where I think they have a chance to really time of possession, control the game, wear down the Buccaneers, and then eventually pass and make big plays. I could smell an upset in this game. Let's talk stats. And by the way, I forgot to mention, the Eagles do have a couple of injuries. Nothing significant. I mean, there are some guys questionable. That's Josh Sweat with an illness, Nate Herbig, the guard, with an ankle injury. But, nothing too serious. As far as stats go, here's some numbers that I think will interest you. Points per game, Tampa Bay is second. The Eagles are 12th. Yards per game, the Buccaneers are second. The Eagles are 14th. Passing yards per game, Eagles are 29th. And then the passing yards per game, the Buccaneers, not surprisingly, are first. They pass a ton. Rushing yards per game, it's the other way around. The Eagles are first, and then the Buccaneers are 26th. Time of possession, 19th for the Bucs, 22nd for the Eagles. Points against, the Buccaneers are 5th. Eagles are middle of the pack at 18th. Total yards per game, 13th for the Bucs, 10th for the Eagles. Passing yards per game allowed, right? 21st for the Bucs, 11th for the Eagles. 9th in rushing yards per game allowed for the Eagles, 3rd for the Buccaneers. Sacks, Eagles are 31st. Buccaneers are 6th, Interception, Buccaneers are 8th. Eagles are 20th. So a lot of these stats, if you notice, actually do favor the Eagles. And what does that mean? It goes back to what I said. These guys, the Eagles, are going to put this Tom Brady team, minus these guys that he's used to, they're going to put them to the test. And that defense is going to be tested by their run game as well. I think that this is a game that is set up to be an upset. I would not be surprised to see the Eagles win. In fact, I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this game. I think the Eagles win this game. I think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. I think both defenses, do just enough to contain the other team, and I don't think either team explodes offensively. That's my guess. It could go the other way, but I don't think so. I think neither team is particularly explosive as far as points. So I'm going to say that the Eagles win this game 27-24 the Eagles win this game. 27-24, Eagles win. Next game up, speaking of Cowboys, the next game up is the 49ers traveling to my Cowboys. So, needless to say, this game is going to be very, very exciting. It is a clash of giants, if you will. I mean, these two teams have made history in the NFL. They had many, many big-time battles in the 90s. Neither team has been all that dominant in the middle. Of course, the Niners did get to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but they were also down in the dumps for many years also. So both teams are playing good football. Niners have been pretty good for some years. Cowboys have been good. They've had ups and downs, I should say. But this year, the Cowboys are looking good. Niners are looking fairly good. And they're going to face each other in the wild card round. And the funny thing is a lot of people, a lot of analysts, I remember, had big talk about how powerful this Niner team could be this year. Yet they barely got into the playoffs, okay? I didn't think they were going to be particularly great. I'm going to remind everybody that, yeah, the Niners were probably a little bit more injured than a few other teams. And one of those other teams is the Cowboys. Nobody said anything about, well, the Cowboys were injured last year. No, all they talked about was the defense was bad. This is a problem, that's a problem. But yet, everybody was jumping on, well, now the Niners are going to be healthy. They're going to be great this year. I thought to myself, well, so what? You get the people back, but are you really going to be great? I mean, you play in a tough division. What's your schedule looking like? What major jump besides the injuries are you going to make in terms of the team getting better, right? So that was my thinking. And now as I look at this game, this matchup, the identities are there. We know what these teams are about. The Cowboys, basically on offense, they're going to do what they need to do, and they can do many things, and they can do them very well. Meanwhile, the Niners are all about trying to bludgeon you, run. They're creative in their run schemes. They can move the ball. And in my opinion, Deebo Samuel, he's the most important offensive player on that team, in my opinion. He can run, he can pass, he can throw, and he can catch. And he's great after the catch. Meanwhile, a guy like Kittle, who's phenomenal, is still basically a more one-dimensional type of a receiver, of a weapon, right? Garoppolo is, even though he's the quarterback, he's middle of the pack, middle of the pack. And he's prone to mistakes. Defensively, the Niners are, they're good in certain areas, like the front seven's pretty good. Their back end, not so good. For the Cowboys, they've got playmakers. They're kind of a boom or bust type of defense. They lead the league in turnovers. They've certainly improved over last year, and I don't see them being pushed around. I think they're going to play stout defense. Hopefully they do, because they're going to need to stop the run. Let's look at some stats. Excuse me. So first of all, we'll talk injuries. The Niners have their punter has a concussion. He's questionable. Aziz Al-Shaair, the linebacker, is questionable. Marcel Harris, the safety, he's questionable. For the Cowboys, it's mainly Keanu Neal. He was ruled out the other day. Linebacker, that's Keanu Neal. The Israel Mukuamu is put on IR, and so is Will Greer, the quarterback, a third-string quarterback. So these injuries aren't terrible. I mean, the biggest one would be Keanu Neal. As far as the stats go, doing a deeper dive, I think this is interesting. The Cowboys are first in points per game. That's 31.2. The Niners are 13th. Total yards per game, Cowboys are first. Niners are 8th. Passing yards per game, Cowboys are 3rd. The Niners are 12th. Rushing yards per game, the Niners are 7th. The Cowboys are 9th. Not that far behind. Time of possession, well, Cowboys are 15th. The Niners are 8th. Points against per game, Cowboys are 7th. And the Niners are 9th. Total yards per game, Total yards per game, the Niners are third, Cowboys are 19th. Passing yards per game, the Cowboys are sixth. The Niners are sixth. The Cowboys are 20th. Okay, that's yards though, right? And then rushing yards per game. The Niners they're seventh. The Cowboys are 16th. When it comes to sacks, the Cowboys are 11th and the Niners are 5th. And when it comes to interceptions, the Niners are 26th, the Cowboys are 1st. So what we see there are some interesting overall stats. The Cowboys are first and very high on many of these statistics. The Niners they're good in a couple, and then they're basically average or even bad in a few others. Make no mistake, this Niners team wants to run the ball. If they run the ball and you don't stop them, they're going to control the game. They're going to put your defense on their heels, and then the passing game will open up, and they will dominate the game. They'll dominate time of possession, dominate the game. Now, on the other hand, if you stop the run, then you put this game into a passing mode. They still have weapons, but they have Brandon Ayuk, they have Kittles, they have Deebo Samuel, they have running backs they can catch. A couple of them have some speed. It isn't, and they have a decent offensive line. And Trent Brown, the left tackle. Trent Williams is probably the best left tackle right now in football. Maybe even a little better than Tyron Smith, because Tyron Smith isn't always 100%. But aside from when Tyron is 100%, I'm still going to take Tyron Smith over Trent Williams. So what you're really looking at is a very interesting matchup. The home field advantage is the Cowboys. The better quarterbacks is the Cowboys. The better roster is the Cowboys. The better coaching, head coach maybe Shanahan. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, I would say the Cowboys would lead that. So overall coaching, I'd say Cowboys. Special teams, Cowboys. So if we play the kind of game, the Cowboys play the kind of game that we know, everybody knows, they're capable of playing. I'm talking blocking punts, getting interceptions, getting after the quarterback, stopping the run, containing it, playing quality, creative, get the ball to the playmakers, protect Dak. If you do those things, this Cowboy team is really a hard team to stop. I do see the Cowboys playing a solid game, and I think if they play a solid game, they will win the game. All they've got to do is control the run. They don't have to stop it 100%, but just control it. And I think they're more than capable of doing it. So I do look for the Cowboys to win a really hard-fought game, physical game. I think the score is going to be a little bit on the higher side. I'm going to say 34 for the Cowboys. Actually, I'll even go higher. I'm going to say 37. 37 to 28. 37-28. Cowboys win this game. Game up on Sunday is going to be the game that most people are kind of, writing off, if you will, which I don't think it's fair to do that. This is the playoffs and this is the NFL. Any given Sunday, right? So they've got the Steelers traveling to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, first I'm going to go over this one kind of quick. The first one, we'll talk about the injuries first. The Steelers have their center, he's on the IR, that's Finney. Tyson Alalu, defensive end, he's on IR. Actually, Buddy Johnson, they're all on IR. Buddy Johnson, a linebacker. For the Chiefs, they've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's out, the running back. He's their starting running back. And then Darrell Williams, the backup, he's questionable because of a toe injury. And then Kalen Saunders, a defensive tackle, he's on IR. So they've got a couple of more significant injuries, does KC. Now, as far as comparison goes, when you think about the stats and the Chiefs, they basically had two different seasons because their defense was horrible in the beginning of the season, and then it became really strong. So the stats, let's look at this overall. Points scored, the Chiefs are 4th and the Steelers are 21st. Total yards per game, the Chiefs are 3rd, Steelers are 25th. Passing yards per game, 4th for the Chiefs, 15th for the Steelers. Rushing yards per game, 16th for the Chiefs, 29th for the Steelers. Time of possession, 10th for the Chiefs, 21st for the Steelers. Points against, the Chiefs are now 8th in points against per game, and the Steelers are 20th. Total yards per game, the Chiefs are 27th, the Steelers are 24th. Passing yards against, Chiefs are 27th. That's the pass defense. Meanwhile, the Steelers are 9th. Rushing yards per game, the Chiefs are 21st. The Steelers are 32nd. Sacks, the Steelers are 1st. The Chiefs are 28th. Interceptions, Chiefs are 12th, and the Steelers are 15th. So you can see where the stats seems like they've really changed. I think the biggest thing that jumps out as far as those stats are concerned is the Steelers being 1st in the sacks. These guys get after the passer. They've got a tremendous defensive line. Tremendous defensive line. They've got T.J. Watt. They've got Hayward. They've got, there's a couple others. I can't think of them. But the point is they've got 3 really special defensive linemen, 2 are defensive tackles. I think they're going to rush 4 in this game, and they're going to put pressure on Mahomes. And they're going to drop people back in coverage. And, they've got the guys back there that can make things really, really difficult for Mahomes and for his 2 favorite weapons. I know that the way that they're going to end up coaching this game up, there's always a lot of misdirection with Andy Reid's offense. There's always tricks. And Mahomes loves to play the magician. He likes to, get tricky. Problem is, this can really, really backfire on him. I think this game, is one that I would not be surprised to see an upset. I would not be super surprised to see an upset because I think that on the defensive side, the Steelers can give these guys trouble. I think offensively, they do have at least a semblance of a running game. Najee Harris is the best running back they've had in quite some time. They do have offensive weapons in their receivers. Their offensive line, a work in progress, but Ben being the veteran that he is, he doesn't typically hold on to the ball too long, and he makes good reads most of the time. So with the talent that he has at receiver, I think they're going to challenge these guys, down the field. I think that's like the biggest thing they're going to do. So it's going to be interesting. And, this is what you've heard Ben say. He's like, look, they're favored. They've got us in all the stats. They're big favorites in the game. And let's go out there and have fun and see what happens. I like that attitude. I really like that attitude. And I think that if the rest of the team takes it as a nice challenge, that they're going to play some good football this tomorrow. So tomorrow being Sunday. So I do expect, though, the Chiefs will prevail, but I would not be surprised at all if this is an upset. It's going to be a closer game than people think. I think it'll be relatively low scoring because the Chiefs' offense is going to struggle a bit against this defense. They're probably going to end up turning the ball over once, maybe twice. I think it's going to be Chiefs win this game 30 to 23. 30 to 23, the Chiefs win this game. One-score game. Last but not least, another matchup of divisional opponents. It's going to be the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Los Angeles Rams. I always get a kick out of when divisional opponents have to play each other in the playoffs. It's like, let's amp it up even more, right? So, like I said, this game is going to be in L.A. These guys obviously know each other because they are divisional opponents. Let's look at the injuries. Looks like Kyle Pitts is on IR for the Cardinals. He's a linebacker. Max Williams, tight end, IR. Zeke Turner, the linebacker, is on injured reserve. Also, these guys are all on IR. The Rams, they've got Jordan Fuller, the safety, on IR. They've got Darrell Henderson, the running back, on IR. Ernest Jones, the linebacker. They're all on IR. Okay, so nothing major to report there. As far as team comparison, going through some stats real quick. Let's see. Rams 7th on points scored, 11th for the Cards. 9th for the Rams, 6th for the Cards. That's total yards per game. Excuse me, the first one's points, second one's total yards per game. Passing yards per game, Rams are 5th, Cardinals are 8th. Rushing yards, 25th for the Rams, 10th for the Cardinals. Time of possession, 26th for the Rams, 7th for the Cardinals. Points against per game. The Rams are 15th, middle of the pack, and the Cardinals are 9th, points against. Total yards against per game. Rams are 17th, Cardinals are 11th. Passing yards against. Rams are 22nd, the Cardinals are 7th. Rushing yards against per game. The Rams are 6th, Cardinals are 20th. Sacks, the Rams are 3rd, the Cardinals are 14th, and interceptions, the Cards are 3rd, the Rams are 3rd, the Cards are 15th. The biggest thing that jumped out at me was the stats having to do with running. Well, first of all, the defense favors the Cardinals. The run defense is really good for the Rams. The pass defense, not so much. And the sacks, the Rams are very good with that. So when I think about it, I mean, defensively, I think the Rams are able to do some things that are going to be very disruptive to the Cardinals. They're going to get after the passer. They're going to stop the run. And that probably includes Kyler Murray. So if they pass the ball, I mean, they're going to still have challenges, but they might be successful. The only problem is now, you know, this Cardinals offense is missing some of their weapons. They're missing one of their most important pieces on the team, and that's D-Hop. Okay, DeAndre Hopkins has been on IR, and he won't be activated for this game. So I think they're going to, as usual, be asking Kyler Murray to generate and come up with offense. And I think that that's great to a point, but he's not going to be able to do all this. So I give the Rams the advantage. Now, on the other side of the coin, what I, like I said, noticed is that the defense for the Cards is a better defense. They're pretty good. They're not so good against the pass. And, you know, the advantage that I think the Cards have as far as offense goes is, honestly, you know, like I like I like Matthew Stafford. I like McVay. I mean, these guys are good. They have a nice offensive line. They got pretty good weapons. I'm not a huge Cooper Kupp fan. I mean, I think the guy gets open and he's got great hands, but this offense is schemed to kind of get the ball into his hands a lot. I just don't see him being able to, you know, either him or Stafford or Kupp. I don't see them being able to really dominate this defense. I think this defense is probably going to create a few turnovers and make life really difficult. Also, Stafford has been giving the ball away a little bit over these last few weeks, so it looks like he's prone to a few mistakes. Maybe it's going to be a fumble, maybe it's an interception, but it could be the difference in a game. This game could go either way. I think it's going to be close, but I'm gonna favor the Rams and being home. So I'm gonna go with the Rams in this game in a relatively, you know, close game, and I think it's gonna be on the higher side. I'm gonna say that I think that the Rams will win this game. I'll say 37-34. 37-34, the Rams will prevail in this game. That's going to do it for this weekend. Enjoy your Wildcard Weekend. I hope that my predictions come out true, and I'll speak with you guys soon. Like and subscribe, and you know, again, I'm looking forward to bringing more content, more quality, more than my pretty face, and I hope you guys have a happy, healthy 22. I'm out.